Hey everybody, I am on the line right now with Jordynne Grace. You know her, former Knockouts champion. She's making her way up the ranks in the Knockouts tag team division with Jazz. They have a big opportunity ahead of them this Saturday, March 13th. It's Sacrifice. They have a tag team title shot against Fire N Flava. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Finally opened my screen door, so hopefully this is the last of
Yes,
winter.
I've been tanning outside the past 3 days, so that's a big step in the right
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah, it's nice that the snow's finally melting and I can actually go outside and enjoy it. Back on topic, I know we could talk about how glad we are to have nice weather all day, but you have a big match coming up this Saturday. How you feeling going into this weekend? Like it's a big match.
I'm very excited. I mean, this is our opportunity to become the knockout tag champions, and it's my opportunity to do it with Jazz, which is really big for me. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I got a chance to talk to Jazz not too long ago, and one of the things I asked her was, just the perspective of, going into the tournament itself. I think people kind of, almost counted out Fire and Flavor. You and Jazz were favorites. Deanna and Kimberly were favorites. You know, they they didn't really give them too as much credit as they obviously deserve. They've held the title since then, but what are you trying to prepare for most going into that match? Like they've proven they're capable champions. What are you trying to beat them at, so to speak?
So I think one of the main things about Tasha and Kira is that they are so alike. I mean, they're around the same age. They always seem to be on the exact same page, and they've obviously been tagging for longer than me and Jazz. So I think that their communication and their ability to just be on the same page with one another is one thing that me and Jazz are definitely going to be looking out for, because me and Jazz are different in a lot of ways. We haven't been tagging as long. There's a pretty big generational gap in both our ages and our wrestling styles. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to be looking out for when it comes to this match.
Now, that leads me into my next question. You did point out you guys, obviously don't have the tenure of some of the other teams, but it does seem like a natural fit. You've gotten a chance to work with each other uh, pretty much since Jazz arrived. So, what has being around her helped you gain from an in-ring perspective? Like, has it changed anything as far as your outlook or just, what kind of advice she can give you?
One of the things that stood out the most about Jazz is how long she's been wrestling and how she's looked up to as a legend and how down to earth she still is. That's one of the things that I've kind of taken away from her, is just like, she doesn't have an ego at all, and she's been around longer than all of us. She's done more than all of us, and she's still, it seems like, the same person she was as when she first started. Like, mentality wise, she still wants to be one of the hardest workers in the room, and she doesn't want to just like ride on her legend status, I guess you could say. So I would definitely say I've taken that away from her, and I hope that when I've been wrestling as long as her, that I can stay as down to earth as she has.
Yeah, I think that's something that people, if you don't know her, haven't ever talked to her, like you only know the in-ring persona, like she's such a nice person and wants to give back. So, it's good to hear you say that about her. It's good to hear it from her. Like
Yeah.
it seems like you guys are really clicking and really enjoy being around each other in the ring and outside of the ring. Um, and sacrifice, I hit myself if I didn't comment on it, but I already talked to Petey Williams. He's 1/3 of your uh, Pump family. Are you hoping Scott Steiner shows up this week? Do you hope they play the promo during the show?
I wish they would just play it during the start of every sacrifice. I feel like that should be a tradition at this point. Um, I mean, that's one of if not the most famous wrestling promo ever. So I would love if he showed up. Obviously, I know he's got some health stuff going on, so I just want him to stay healthy. But I would love if he showed up to cheer me on.
Yeah, and they do play it on Twitch every week. I usually watch on Twitch, but it's
Every week.
yeah. So instead of commercials, they have like the greatest feud, and then there's like this one where AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn were fighting, and it's like different every week. But then every single week at like halfway through the show, it's like they play the sacrifice promo.
I didn't know that. That's hilarious, actually.
I would love if they did it again, but it's just, I know you mentioned not too long ago.
I never get tired of it.
I don't either. Like, I don't know what it is. Like Petey said when he told me he did it in one take, I was like, taken back by it. I was like, that's crazy that something that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, it was literally lightning in a bottle. And then you go on, like today, like you go on Wikipedia and, he's listed as your dad. So.
Yeah, that was definitely not my intention.
This is good to see that you have such a good spirit about it, all of it, and a good sense of humor about it, because it's in a way, even though none of it's true, and anybody can, like, if I'm blowing anybody's mind right now, Scott Steiner is not Jordynne Grace's real dad, but it's kind of made you more relatable to some people, I feel like, because when you first came into the company, or when you started making your way up the ranks in the independent level, two of the things that I noticed, that was one, and then you were also working on making your own ring gear, and I thought that was like really cool.
I gave up on that, to be honest, because once I got signed to Impact, the last thing I actually made was my all-in gear, and I wore it and I thought it looked awesome, and then literally it fell apart like almost immediately afterwards. And one of the things that actually happened was I'd worn it all in, and it was a certain type of material that I've never worked with before, like a shiny material, and I put it back in my gear bag. I guess you're not supposed to do that when it's like all sweaty and wet. And so when I actually took it out of my bag, it was destroyed because all the colors had like bled together. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't get this right. And so I got signed to Impact, and honestly, I didn't think that my handiwork would match up to what I thought gear should look like if it was on TV. So that's why I started to go to other people again.
Well, I will say you were doing a great job. I'm sorry that it happened that way and it fell apart, but you were doing some good work. I think I noticed
thank you,
Gia is starting to do some of her own too. So I gravitate towards people that design and do crafts in that way. Like, I talked to Taya not too long ago, and I just if you're doing something productive and creative, like, I say, why not promote it?
Yeah, I will say Gia is a lot better at it than I am.
One of the other things I did want to ask, I actually saw Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com. I will plug his website really quick. He asked you about the sidewalk slam move. You're kind of like, okay, what's it? It's kind of like a sidewalk slam. Do you have a name for it yet?
No, I do not. That was I mean, I've done it before, but that was the first time I actually did it on TV, was in that match with Kira. Usually, what's funny is usually fans come up with better names than I do. So hopefully someone, if they listen to this, can figure out a name for it. But I've never seen anybody do it before, and I was just trying to figure out something that I could do that was, not like a huge move where I drop somebody on their head, because I do that quite a bit. But just something that I could do that wasn't a huge move that I could do in the beginning of the match that wasn't a regular sidewalk slam, because I feel like a lot of women do that move. So I was just trying to do something different.
I know the goal is on Saturday to win the tag team titles. That, not to downplay that at all, but are you looking at this match as a way to not only just win the titles, but prove yourself that you're, one of the best tag team wrestlers? Because you've obviously been knockouts champion. You've proven yourself that you're one of the best in the singles division, but tag team wrestling is a very different style of wrestling. Like Jazz, I'll call back to when I talked to her. She said, she was asked to do it and never got the chance to do it until now. But there's a different psychology. There's a different approach to it. Are you looking at it any kind of like psychologically or mentally different than you would prepare for a singles match?
I definitely, I do pretty good in singles, but I definitely would like to be known as someone who works well. Sorry, I just dropped my phone. Okay. Someone who someone who works well with others and can collaborate with others to come up with something and eventually be successful at it. So I definitely think that would be one of my goals going in, apart from winning.
What about the rest of the year? Because now it seems like things are getting back to normal as best as they can be. Do you have any other goals this year as far as your in-ring work, anything else like intangibles that would really help you go to the next level as a wrestler?
I've really just been working on my body and my strength. I have a home gym now, so I've been trying to lift heavy every single day and try to, live up to the Fake Mama Pump moniker. I feel like I want to be one of the, and if not the strongest female wrestler, that's active right now. So that would be one of my main goals right now. And I think that if I can do that and it can be legitimate, that would set me apart from everybody else.
If they haven't caught on to your work yet, is there a match that you would point to that, whether it's with Jazz, whether it's just in Impact in general, that, you would point to that really highlights who you are as a wrestler? You would put this one on and be like, you know what, I'm really proud of that match. That's who I want to be. That's who I try to aspire to, like, every single time.
Last year during the quarantine, actually, me and Gianna had two what I thought were really good matches, pretty much back to back. We had a match with Slammiversary, and then we had the first ever knockout Iron Man match. So I think both of those would be pretty good, indicators of what kind of wrestler I am. And I'm well aware that I lost both of them, but I still think they do showcase my ability as a wrestler and also just my ability to work with someone who everybody else also thinks is a good wrestler and have a great match.
I will ask this in closing, and it's on a related topic, but people keep talking about best in the world and, proving yourself. There's a lot going on with the AEW relationship on the men's side. Is there anybody over there that, you'd step to and try to say, I'm throwing my hat in, I think I'm the best? Like, anybody besides Sheeta because she's the champion, but, people keep throwing out Deanna's name because she's the champion, but I would think you want to, have your name in the conversation too about that.
Well, I'd love to wrestle Nyla Rose again. We actually wrestled a few times, on the independent scene. And I think that she would be someone that I would love to face again on a bigger stage like AEW.
Fair enough. Hopefully we get to see that before this whole crossover is done. But, until then, you have a big match. Sacrifice, Jazz and Jordynne Grace go for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship against Fire N Flava. We'll see if you get it done. And thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thank you so much.